So, in this video, we are going to try to understand the concept of the self, right? Uh, is there even one to begin with? Does the self really even exist? And like, if there exists a self, then like, what exactly is it, right? How do you define it? And uh, what are the models through which you can, define who you are, right? And also, we're going to discuss what exactly is the whole problem with this topic, right? Everyone is so confused on defining what exactly makes an individual, an individual. Like, yeah, what's so, if is there anything even unique? It's again, it's the whole, a lot of questions. So, the topic of the self is very vast, but what we are going to focus on today is two things. First is the definition, right? That how exactly do you define a self? And second is basically how to look at the self, right? So we are going to define what the self is, or first of all, what definitions will fit the self, and then we are going to look at how exactly we can look at the self, right? So we are going to define the self, we are going to go through various definitions, and we're going to see how we can look at ourselves or look at the self, right? So first, let's try to understand what exactly is the problem with this whole topic, right? So what basically fundamentally happens is in the present right now, like at this moment, you're an individual, right? You have certain qualities, you have certain traits, you act a certain way, you look a certain way. This is you in the present. But then what happens? Time passes on, and then eventually in the future you change, right? And you change into something like very not very different, less different. That's relative, but you change into something that's different, right? First you were this yellow dot. Now you're green, and now you're this weird odd shape, right? So you were something in the present, and then eventually in the future you're going to become something else, or you're something right now, and in the past you were something else. The problem basically happens is that as time moves on, you change, right? You have changed. However, you still feel you, right? You still feel like yourself, right? You still feel like yourself. You still feel like yourself. This happens, right? Right now, in the moment, you feel like yourself. But in the past also you are feeling like yourself. But the difference is in the past you were a completely different person. And right now you're a completely different person. Everything has changed. The only thing that has kind of remained constant is this thing. This feeling of feeling like yourself, right? But then you get confused, you're like, wait, hold up. Why am I feeling like myself when I have changed? Right? So this is the whole this is like a loop. This is this whole loop that goes on and on and on. Like I feel like myself, but I have changed, then what exactly this is a loop. So this is the main problem that people change, but their feeling of identity doesn't dissociate, right? It still moves on. So the problem is, what am I as an individual if with time I only change, right? That's the whole problem. What am I as an individual? I only change. So I'm going to focus on Eastern philosophy a bit in this video more because that's what I'm familiar with, right? So Eastern philosophies they usually offer two viewpoints, right? First, which is the very prominent one, is that self is an illusion. That this whole feeling that you have, that you're feeling like yourself, uh, not just Buddhism, like a lot of philosophy, it's an illusion, right? In Hinduism, there is the concept of Maya, that between the world inside you and the world outside you, it's the same. It's just this Maya that kind of causes you to think that you're something different, that you're an individual. So yeah, so there's first of all there's a concept that the self is an illusion. So basically that everything is changing. There is kind of no real you, but you are just under the illusion that something in you is changing. So there's the first viewpoint. The second viewpoint, which is kind of similar to the first one, is that you are the universe itself, right? You are the universe that is manifesting into different forms, which kind of technically makes sense because obviously everything is confined in this universe. We are not made of something out of this world. It's the same atoms, it's the same structure, same biology. Everything is it's in this world only. So it's kind of obvious, or it kind of makes sense to believe that you're the universe itself manifesting into different forms. So this kind of dissolves the concept of individuality, right? This dissolves the concept of individuality. It says that, listen, you are just you're like an ant, right? An individual ant doesn't have that much value, or it cannot really perform a lot of things. But a cluster of ants is like almost like a living organism, right? If you ever look at ants, you'll realize this. Ants are kind of like a super organism, right? Individually, they have nothing. Their basic senses also they don't have. They just leave a scent trail, and that's all they do. Individually, they don't have anything, but collectively, they make decisions. They form colonies, right? So similarly, this viewpoint dissolves the individual. It says that you are just a very, very tiny speck in something very big, which is the universe, right? So these are the prominent ways of looking at the self. So there are two conclusions that come from it, right? Let's go on to the second conclusion first, which is that the self is not separate from the world. And this is not problematic, right? To be honest, both these statements are not right or wrong or even problematic, but this statement is still interpreted like decently, right? People don't really misinterpret this statement. Because as I said, we are the part of the universe itself, or whatever we know right now of the universe, right? So long before, right, historically, people had the belief that, humans, the self, it's something out of this world, that the mind inside the world is actually different than the mind outside, or that humans themselves are, you know, out of this world, that humans were placed in this world, right? So there was this sense of disconnect between the universe and humans, right? Humans were like, I am here, and the universe is there. But obviously, eventually we realize that the self is not separate from the world, right? Your building blocks, everything, it's you are connected to the world. And this statement is like not that even hard to understand. So it's properly interpreted, at least most of the time. The problem is in the first statement. It says that there is no definite self, right? And again, this statement in itself is not right or wrong, right? But we are going to elaborate a bit more on how exactly do you look at it? How do you interpret this statement, right? Because there is no definite self. A lot of people they come to the conclusion that okay, so there is just nothing inside, right? Like as a human, inside you there is just this void, and that everything outside is just an illusion. And inside you there is nothing, it's just all an illusion, right? And this is kind of incomplete, right? So the first statement and the way people uh, interpret it, I personally feel that it's not practical and it's also kind of incomplete. So let's try to understand in a different way how exactly are going how exactly are we going to look at this. So this statement right here, the existence of you is both real and not real, right? I'm not saying this to sound cool or anything, but the existence of you is both real and not real. Why? Because this you depends on time. It depends on when are you asking this question, right? So the existence of you is both real and not real, depending on the time frame and depending at what moment do you ask it, right? And just because the you has changed doesn't mean that there is never a you. I know it sounds very, so let's try to go a bit further because it's kind of a word salad, right? So let me just introduce to something. I'm only going to use this as an example. This is not a scientific correlation. This is not a scientific theory. I just want to make an example of something. So Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, it's a principle that is given to basically, it's about electrons. So what it states is that you cannot simultaneously determine both the position and moment of an electron, right? The more accurate your measurement of, let's say, the momentum is, the less accurate the measurement of the position is going to be. Its equation or something, h something like this. I don't remember. But like, yeah, basically what it says is you can't have best of both the worlds. Either you can say it at least most certainty, either you can say things about the momentum or the position. You cannot know 100% both the momentum of the position. It's like an inverse relation. If you want to know one thing, you have to sacrifice on the other, or you have to ignore the other, right? You cannot know both. So this is a scientific principle. Uh, but my point of introducing this principle to you was we can apply this perspective when dealing with defining selves or defining people, defining you, right? How? You can either know who you are in this moment, or you can know who you are over time. But both of these definitions are not fully complete, right? You can either know who you are in this moment, or you can know who you are over time, but both of these definitions are not fully complete. Let's try to understand what it is, right? So, just like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, right now in this moment, you cannot know both. You cannot know that in this moment, who am I? And at the same time, who am I collectively as a person overall or over time? You cannot know both, right? At this moment, at best, you can either look at yourself overall, like right now I'm here, I can look at my past. Either I can know that okay, overall, up until now I was like this or I am like this, or you can know in this moment I am this, right? So you can go with two models. The first model is obviously day-to-day model, right? Sunday I was like I'm just taking days as an example. Obviously, people don't change this frequently, but let's assume every day is like 1 year. So in Sunday you were this, Monday you changed, Tuesday you changed, Wednesday you changed, Thursday you changed, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Keep on changing, right? So on Sunday you were you. On Monday you were also you, but like it kind of changed. Now you are this. On Tuesday you are this. Okay. Thursday you are this again, but with this. Right? So what I'm trying to say is that you are same, but something has changed, right? Something has changed. So either you can know who you are at the moment in the present, or what you can do is you can kind of find a general idea, or you can look at this big distribution of yourself over time. So if you plot your time and like whatever traits, personality, whatever it is, if you plot it over time, so you will see that there are certain things that are very prominent, right? So try to think of people as branches or strings, right? So people start off at a point and then their entire life they just keep branching and branching, and then they go back also, and then they again branch from the same point but in a different direction. Then again here, then again here, then again there, right? People are like branches, they are like strings, right? They keep on branching and branching and branching. And some branches are very prominent, some branches are very less. Or you can also look at people as dominoes, right? Like dominoes, they it's like they keep, it's like people are like a set of dominoes. In this moment, you are seeing them like this, but there is also this whole domino effect that had happened before, right? So, what exactly am I trying to convey by telling you these two models? If you want to know who you are in this moment, right, you can know who you are, right? Taking this graph as example, let's say right now I am red, as in the red color. I can say that in this moment I am red, right? But I can't say who I am collectively, right? At the moment, I can only know who I am right now. Or what I can do is over time, I can look at my branch, right? I can look, imagine this is myself, and I'm looking at this tree that is me, this branch that is me. And now I can speak in terms of possibilities that, oh, so collectively, this is me up until now. Up until now, this is me, right? As I said, I started off when I branched so much, right? So let's say you started off as red, then you became green, then you became blue, then again you reverted to red, then you became purple. I know it sounds a bit absurd, but think of colors as different phases of your life. After purple, you became some yellow again, and then again you are back at red. Now, this time when you're back at red, you're going to be like, oh, so I can be this also and I can be that also, right? So basically, what happens is your uh, concept, your self is defined in terms of possibilities now. That, oh, I can also be like an author and I can also be like a sports person, right? But for that, you also have to do those things, right? As in, let's say I played sports for 4 years. For 4 years, I was a sports person. Then for 3 years, I was an author. And then I'm again back to, being jobless now. Now I can look at my branch and say that I can be a sports person and I can be an author also. There's basically, I have the possibility to be both, right? I cannot 100% say that no, I am sports person only or I am author only. No, I can be both, right? I can be both. But you might say with this logic, so you can be anything. Like ऐसे तो फिर तो I can say नहीं, I can be everything. But again, I said that's not true. Like you can't say, oh yeah, I can be everything. No, you would have to do things to then say to yourself that, oh, I can be a sports person. Like for example, if you have never played football or any type of sports, and if you have never written any type of book, and then you are saying to yourself, oh yeah, I can be both a sports person and an author. That's just guess. Like that's not really right. Only once you have done those both of these things can they be a part of yourself. No? Only once you have written something and once you have played something, they become a part of yourself, right? So yeah. So as I said, we have looked at both the definitions, right? What exactly? So we have the momentarily definition and we have the overall definition. But both of these definitions are still not fully complete, right? And why is that? Why are both of the definitions not fully complete? Because as I said, it depends on which part of you do you want to focus on. Do you want to focus on the momentary aspect or do you want to focus on the overall aspect, right? It's like an individual branch of a tree, right? It's like there is this branch is thinking, holy shit, who am I? Now that depends on how does it want to look at itself. In the moment, it is just a branch, but overall, if it can look back, it will see that, oh, I am all of this, right? Like possibilities. Like I was all of this and I can be all of this. So basically, your idea of self expands, right? That's why And that's why the problem also arised initially. When people were defining the self, they were like, yeah, but I am changing. But at the same time, I'm also feeling like myself. So again, it's like you are like an individual branch or individual thread of a big, complicated string. That is yourself. All it depends on how do you want to look at it. For day to day use, you have to focus on the moment only, right? Right now, let's say I am a healthy person. I don't have any illness and I am an author right now. So right now I can say that, oh yeah, I'm a healthy person and I'm an author. 4 days from now, if I have some sort of terminal illness and I'm bedridden, then I can't say that I'm an author or a healthy person anymore. Then I'll say, oh yeah, I'm a terminally ill patient who's bedridden. But when I'm looking at myself collectively over time, I'll be like, oh, I was a sports person also, I was a patient also. So both of these things kind of I wouldn't I would say merge, but both of it's like you spread out, right? You're like, oh, so I could be both, I was both, right? So basically, as you live on, your idea of yourself expands. But there's also another question. Where is the individuality, right? What exactly is unique about me? Right? Because at the end of the day, the basic definition of being someone is that there is nothing or no one like you, right? That's what I mean by when I say that this other guy whose name is B, name is A, T. The reason why I say that this guy is not me is because I'm unique, right? Or that's what I think, right? If we both looked the same, acted the same, everything was same, everything, right, down to the fundamental level, then it's good. So the point is, what exactly is unique about me then? Right? How do I feel like an individual in this world? That is going to be the pattern that you leave behind, right? if you think of yourself as these colors, when you're going to die, right? You're going to look back at this pattern. Like imagine like all of these color patterns they start playing. So when they start playing, they'll have this dance of colors. There's going to be this sequence of colors popping in and out and in and out and in and out. And that is going to be unique only to you. It's like those what do they say, like ice crystals. The design of an ice crystal is very unique. It can never be replicated. It's the same with you. This branch that you have of your cell, this is never going to be replicated ever again, because no one is going to be born with the same body as you, in the same time as you, in the same circumstances as you. No one is going to lead the life that you have led. Never ever, right? And hence why the pattern that you're going to leave behind, the colors or the way you have, whatever this is, your branch, your decisions, this whole collective thing, that is going to be you. But yes, for that you have to wait for your life to, kind of, you can only know this when you are dead, which is the which is the joke. Because when you're dead, you can't know anything, right? So if you want to know what exactly is unique in me, or like, if that's how you want to define yourself, you can look at it like, look at this shit. Look at this. This is never going to be replicated ever again. These colors, these patterns, this whole domino of my life. It's never, no one is going to live the same life as you ever again. So if you want to define yourself like that, you can also look at itself like that. But yeah, jumping back to definitions, you have to kind of like oscillate this between these two definitions. Just because you're changing, you can't negate the idea of a self that, oh yeah, the self doesn't exist just because it changes. Why? Maybe the self is something that is defined by change only. Something that doesn't change, maybe that's not the self, right? And if you think of it, that's why we define death, right? When we say people die, what is it? They stop changing. Nothing happens. They just die, right? Sure, biologically they might rot or something, but it's done. The story is over, right? So, but yeah, for definition, so because see, you need momentary clarity for day-to-day shit also, right? So momentarily you can say that, oh yeah, today I am this, yesterday I was that, tomorrow I will become something else. And at the same time, if you want to know a collective idea of who you are, you can oscillate for the different second definition. But yeah, again, you have to oscillate and you have to keep both of these definitions in mind. One definition is always going to be incomplete. You kind of have to complement it. So that was, so yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about in this video. I just want to kind of provide this, way of thinking. Uh, if you already were thinking this way, then pretty great. And like, yeah, if you found something new, then thanks for watching.